Hi, I'm Charlie Hall. Welcome to Shine in the Darkness. The mission of Shine in the Darkness is to share the good news, the gospel message, that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, lived a perfect life, died for our sins according to Scriptures, and he was buried and raised from the dead on the third day. Good news. Pat Kavanagh is a friend of mine. He's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Metro Director for Pinellas County here in Florida. This is part 1 of 4, where Robert Smith, our Bible study teacher, talks with Pat about his high school days, how his friends led him to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. He grew in his faith, worked in ministry, and that would eventually, in part 2, lead him to the FCA.
Thanks for joining us today. I got the privilege of introducing you to Pat Kavanagh. Pat, thanks for coming to hang out with us, and we're glad you made it out of the parking lot.
It was really tricky.
What's your secret? You got to tell us at some point. No,
Well,
not today.
It's spring.
Okay.
You have to watch out for the raining pollen.
All right. Got it.
Yeah, and the people that march around our city in little uniforms.
Okay. Well, this has been recorded.
It's okay.
I tell you what. Hey, Pat. I got a whole bunch of questions. I got a whole bunch of things in my mind I want to find out from you. But before we start, let's find out a little bit about Pat.
Yeah.
You're calling before FCA. What's the old Pat look? Oh, this is the old Pat.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. What's the
Nothing's
young
changed.
Pat look like? What? Tell us about you and your life and what got you here.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Robert. I was born 2 miles down the road at Morton Plant Hospital. I was born and raised in Clearwater, and I say that I grew up in Dunedin, went to Dunedin Middle and Dunedin High School, and man, I loved baseball. And as far as I knew, baseball was God, and going to Dunedin High School to play baseball was as close to getting close to God as you could in my own little mind. And I don't know if you know this or not, but your wife was one of my best friends in high
What?
school. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Pam Burnett.
Whoa.
You guys should meet each other.
I'm married to Pam Smith now.
That's right.
Oh. Same woman?
It is the same one.
Okay.
And
Just making
she was awesome then, as she is now. And I love baseball and I love sports in general. I also was in band. I played the tuba, and then Dunedin, we wear kilts. My wife always says you were a cross-dresser. You're wearing dresses. I was like, it was a kilt. Did you not see Braveheart?
And I heard her also say you're full hot air, so that goes along. Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That helped me play the tuba.
Yeah.
And I got to go to Scotland twice, being in the high school band, and that was really awesome. My family's Patrick Sean Kavanagh is not Mandarese or anything. It's definitely an Irish ancestry.com kind of thing. Right. And so I didn't get to Ireland, but I got to Scotland, and I went
Close
around.
enough.
Yeah, I was talking like Lucky from Lucky Charms, and people thought I was, a kid that grew up in Scotland and then went to America to wear a kilt. I don't know why they would think that, but that's the kind of guy I was, and I still am. I just like to have fun and enjoy life. Yeah.
I heard from your friends and back in the day, you were pretty funny.
Yeah. I would say lack of common sense.
Okay. That'll work.
That does equal humor. Have you ever seen Tommy Boy?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like Chris Farley going through high school, even though I wasn't just chubby or anything. But so I grew up, and I really wanted to know who God was. Mm-hmm. And my mom did raise me in church, a Catholic church, and it meant a lot to me. It became a thing that we did, and Mom took us. And when I was 12 years old, my little brother made his confirmation. And Troy, he's 3 years younger, and he came home one day and he goes, "Hey, guess who's going to heaven? Me. Guess who's not? You."
Oh my god!
And I was like, "That stinks. That's not. I'm gonna beat you up, and I'm going to heaven too." So I went to go check it out, and my mom had let me read her Bible, and I read it, and I was all ready, and I got to go see the priest, and I pulled out the Bible and turned it to a page, and the priest looked at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I want to read this Bible." And then I said something like, "Why doesn't anybody in this church carry a Bible in?" I was just 12 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just sat there, and he was looking at me really weird. And I said, "Oh, before you ask me about all my sins, don't I, before I confess them to you," I go, and I opened the Bible and I read where Jesus promised to be our intercessory, and he would go on our behalf to the Father, and that our sins could be forgiven. I said, what's up with that? Well, I got to tell you all my bad stuff. He closed his book, and we didn't have a meeting anymore, and I didn't get confirmed. I'm not making fun of the church. I'm talking about something that shaped my life.
Right. Right.
3 weeks later, we weren't going to church, and my mom, I said, "Mom, why are we going to church?" She goes, "I'm not going there anymore. They don't deserve my little Martin Luther." And I had no idea who Martin Luther was until I went to 7th grade and studied, and I was like, my mom was complimenting me. I put 2 and 2 together. This has nothing to do about church or religion or anything. This was me having a hunger as a young man. And when people prayed, I would always bow my head, but I was like, who would he hear me if I prayed to him? Or I would take my hat off to sing the national anthem. And, my dad was he didn't take us to church. He went on Christmas and Easter, but my dad was like, "You're going to respect it." And so I think I grew up very respectful of the thought of religious people.
Right.
And, fast forward, I joked about Pam. She lived in the neighborhood right next to Engelbert Complex. And her and a group of girls were at every single one of our games. This was in 13-year-old league before we got to high school. And I just thought the girls liked baseball. I didn't really know they were coming to see all the guys play. I was just like, the world's changed, Robert. We're going to get into what FCA is.
Okay. Take your time.
Yeah. But we'll circle back to that because it was a different time. And people were always on time to things. You had to call and say my game's at 6 and you got to be there on time. We didn't have cell phones. Dinosaurs were walking the neighborhoods, and you could have been eaten by a T-Rex at that point. But it seemed like nobody was ever late to things back then.
Right.
And Pam was this incredible soccer player, and she was also one of the most humble people I ever met in my life. She didn't rub girls' faces in it. I was telling you the other day, she was like superhuman. It was like watching Pele when I was a kid. Like, they couldn't stop him. Pam would just go, "Well,
she's going to be embarrassed by this." If she sees it.
It's okay, because Pam had an impact on my life, and so did another friend, Christy Davis, who became my first girlfriend. But she was like, "Hey, you want to go to youth group with me?" I was like, "What's that like? Are you allowed to bring a Bible?" Like, that was that affected me. And I was 16 instead of 12. She goes, "Yeah, you can bring a Bible. It's highly encouraged." Wow. And I never made it to hers, but I went to some other youth groups and started finding friends that seemed to be a little different. They did things that seemed like the right way. They had self-control, in a high school full of out-of-control people. So our senior year, I was going to go walk on, play baseball, had some opportunities. I actually quit playing baseball because my mom got cancer when I was in 11th grade, and I was told she had a 5% chance of living. And I just decided I was going to go visit my mom in the hospital instead of being at baseball practice. And, I never got to play baseball again after that. And I had a lot of regrets, but I made the right choice. My mom passed away 7 years later, but a couple months later, I got a new job. Do you remember Farmore? They were like deep discount stores.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was one down in Largo, and I got a job there because I was tired of bussing tables at Capona's dugout. And
great pizza, though.
Great pizza, great people. I made great money, but I didn't like work until 1 a.m. and all my friends were out having fun, and I was always there till close on the weekends. And so I went to go work at Farmore, and I saw this this young lady, blonde hair. I was in lust. Not, I'm just going to say it like it was.
Right.
I currently had a girlfriend, and she knew about it. I started talking to her, and she's like, I was like, I play baseball and I lift weights, and she's like, I don't care.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to Scotland. I'm going with the band. She's like, I don't care. It's like, just bag the groceries and let's go. We got a job to do.
Yeah.
She really was playing hard to get, but turns out that God had a plan in my life, and that young lady had something to do with it. And I decided not to go away to college. I don't know how these kids get into college now. I was weak sauce. I think I graduated like a 3.2 grade point average, and that's just because I did my homework at the very last day to turn in for extra credit. And I got accepted everywhere I applied. I was going to go to Clemson University. I was going to try and walk on. I was still working out and playing baseball. And my parents were very proud because my older brother never went to college. He had no intentions of doing it, made a lot of bad choices in life. I can say that another thing that impacted me was my older brother did a lot of drugs and stuff, and I decided I didn't ever want to disappoint my parents. I never tried drugs in my life, ever. I did drink alcohol, and that is a drug, but that's a different story for today. So I told my parents I wasn't going. I was going to stay here and go to St. Pete Junior College. It was junior college then, and basically was like, you're going to 13th grade and you were made fun of that you couldn't get into a real college. I actually got into all the colleges that I applied to. But I thought this young lady really was worth it. And I don't want to ruin it, but I'm gonna. This October, we'll be celebrating our 32nd wedding anniversary. I think
Her name was Stacy?
her name was Stacy Rogers.
Whoa.
And now it's
You
Stacy
changed that?
Kavanagh. Yeah,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
Pam Burnett changed her name. But while I was there, she had some demands on my life. She said, I'm not dating anybody that won't give Jesus a try. You have to go to church with me.
Whoa.
And I was just like, okay. One glance over, I was like, church? That's nothing. I started going to church, and man, I really hated it because the youth group was middle to high school kids, and I was in college.
Wow.
And I was sitting next to Stacy, and I met this guy that was in the youth group, and he played sports. So I'm in a sports ministry called the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I never got to go play college sports or anything like that. But here's where the sports and Jesus actually connect. Robbie was a state champion wrestler at Pinellas Park High School, and he was also like a runner-up weightlifter. And I would go there, and I was always keeping my eye on him because he was a good-looking dude. I didn't want him moving in on Stacy. They were really good. They were good friends.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, this is cool. And in January 11th of 1988, there was a school shooting at Pinellas Park High School. Do you remember that?
Mm-mm. I wasn't here.
Okay. It was before CNN was around. It was before all the other stuff. But if you go Google it, January 11th, 1988, Pinellas Park, there was a principal that was killed. And
Wow.
he got killed protecting kids, getting in the way.
Wow.
And my friend Robbie was hiding behind a table. And just so happened, that was on Tuesday, January 11th. I just happened to go see Predator in the movie theaters. And, us young guys are stupid, and testosterone and adrenaline run through us. I still couldn't get out of my mind Jesse Ventura mowing down an entire jungle with a machine gun. You remember that scene?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
I did.
No.
I wanted one of those. And I was like, going crazy. And I come up and sit next to Robbie. I'm like, so what was that like seeing someone get shot? And he just kind of looked at me and he said, dude, you're an idiot. And this was muscle.
Right.
And I was much bigger than him. I'm 6'1". He's like 5'9". I was like, well, let's go out. We're at church. I'm like, let's go outside and see who's an idiot,
Oh my gosh.
He goes, you think just because you're with the cutest girl in the church that you got it made? He goes, you've heard the message of salvation every week for months now, and you've never even blinked an eye.
Oh my God.
That's why you're an idiot.
Wow.
And I said, so what's that mean? He goes, no matter if I would have got shot yesterday, we had youth group the next night and he was there. If I got shot yesterday, I'd be with Jesus. I said, no, you'd be taking a dirt nap. He said, I'd be with Jesus. You know where Jesus is right now? I go, where? He said, he's right here. I go, well, where is he? He goes, well, he just opened up a dialogue for me to share him with you, so he is here. I never seen boldness like this before, Robert. And Stacy's sitting next to me, and she wants me to know Jesus. Yeah. She's like tearing up. And I was like, you know? And he said, you know, no matter what happened yesterday, no matter what happens tonight, no matter what happens tomorrow, Pat, I know where I'm going. And I hope you find out where you're going, because there's only two choices. You're going to go to heaven with Jesus, or you're not going to make it, and you don't want to go to hell. And I was just like, wow. I started being serious.
That's clear.
So, this is not the Bible. Stacy and Robbie bought me my first Bible. And I thought, you know, back in when we were growing up, kids didn't buy each other gifts. I see kids do it now, and I think it's awesome that they do it. Right. No one ever bought me a gift unless it was my birthday. But they bought me a study Bible, and I loaned it to somebody, and it disappeared. He didn't give it back. And we're still friends on Facebook. I doubt he has that Bible.
You forgive him, though.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear, yeah.
So, Stacy bought me another Bible, and this one she got engraved. Shortly after we got married a couple
years. Does it say idiot?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It's got that cross. And she said, you know, you need to get hit in the head with a cross, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of this Bible, Robert, because this is my ministry Bible. Those are all stickers. You know, in the back of the Bible is a map.
Right.
All the missionary trips that Paul took. I want this to be a document of all the missionary trips I went on. Your passport. Yeah. And we're going to talk about FCA in the future, maybe even today, but this was the very first one, and it was in 2005, and it's still there. And I'm really proud that I've had to I've had this rebound twice, duct taped it, and everything like that. But there was a scripture underlined. There was only one underlined in that Bible, and I keep a bookmark there, and it's in 1 Corinthians, and it's chapter 15, verse 21. And it was just randomly underlined, and it caught my eye. It said, "For since death came through a man, the resurrection of the dead also comes through a man." And Robbie underlined it. And I said, "Robbie, why'd you underline that?" He goes, "I don't know. You and I were talking about life and death, and that means life and death without Jesus." And I said, "Well, that's really interesting." And he goes, I'm gonna look some stuff up and tell you. We didn't have the internet. You had to you had to go to a book or a library. Or you had to ask God to give you answers, you know. And I really started taking it serious. I got up an hour and a half earlier and went to Sunday school because they bought me a Bible. I thought it was really important. And 2 months from that day, on March 11th, 1988. Robbie was killed in a car accident.
Wow.
And the date's right there. And I don't know if you can see that, but Robbie was killed in a car accident. He was skipping school, you know. His brother and two friends were drunk and stoned out of their minds. He didn't do any of that stuff, but he was skipping school, trying to hang out with the older ones.
Right.
He was the only one even injured in the car accident. He was thrown through the window and broke his neck, and he died almost instantly. And 3 days later, on March 14th, what is today? It's March 14th.
March 14th. Oh my gosh. Wow.
March 14th, 1988, I gave my life to Jesus.
Happy birthday.
In front of Robbie's casket.
Oh my gosh.
I figured, if this guy thought that it was this important to spend his own money on me and let me know that I can spend eternity with Jesus, I gotta believe this is all a setup.
Yeah.
So I keep this in all my Bibles now. And if I get discouraged, I think about how important was Robbie's life and Stacy's life if it was to touch my life. And now we're going to talk about where God's taken that the last 37 years. I think it was really important.
Wow.
I did not even know today was going to be the day.
And
I had no idea it was going to be March 14th.
And you know, Pat, that just reminds me, like, the first thing I want to say to you is happy birthday, because isn't this really the birthday that matters?
Yeah, yeah.
Not the one they put on the first number on our tombstone, but the one where we know what Robbie knew and we know where Robbie is.
Yeah, it's in that dash.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I'm overwhelmed.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah, write it
March
down.
14th. That's your new birthday from now on. I'm not going to... Is it okay if I don't get you a gift on...
July
your
29th?
Yeah.
I was a moon baby. They were walking on the moon when I was born, July 29th, 1969.
In celebration of your birthday.
Yes, yeah.
obviously.
They didn't leave they didn't leave the moon until I was born.
Absolutely.
So that kind of tells you I went away I stayed home for a year, then I went to Florida State University.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Condolences, but go ahead.
It's awesome. It's the Florida State
That's
University.
a woman's college, isn't it?
It used to be.
Did it start out as a woman's college?
It was.
Transitioned?
Women are smarter than men for the most part.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
But my dad's hunting property was up there. My mom survived cancer, and they bought a lake house up there. And my mom did die 7 years later from her third bout with cancer. But I probably spent another 50 times with my mom by making that choice. And I don't think that was by accident, because I didn't really want to. I wanted to go out of state. I wanted to go to Clemson. I wanted to be somewhere around the mountains. I was looking at Auburn and some different school. I wanted to get out of the state. I was born and raised here, and here I am still.
Can't get out.
Made some bad choices in college. I don't think I really got discipled or put myself. I didn't know what discipleship meant.
Right.
Got pulled over for a DUI going 70 miles an hour around a curve right by Doak Campbell Stadium where Florida State plays football.
Right.
And I had drank a fifth of Captain Morgan straight.
Wow.
Should have been in jail. And I tell kids this. I tell this testimony all the time. You know, when we're like, God, I didn't study for this test, but if you just give me 100, I'll never do it again. These kids know what I'm talking about. If you just get me out of this, I'll never do it again. I made that deal with God because I knew I was going to jail. I was going to be out of college. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, Robert.
That's amazing.
I walked the line. I said the alphabet backwards. I can't do that sober. And I blew a 0.0. The police officer was so mad he punched his window out and had another unit come.
Are you serious?
And give me another breathalyzer, and I blew a 0.0. That was the last time I was ever drunk again, and I quit drinking a year after that. So I haven't been drinking for 32 years now. I don't miss it. I was able to just walk away from it because I felt like God really...
Did you actually feel like that? Go ahead, finish. I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
Well, did you feel like that night? Did you realize God's hand in that?
Yes.
What was going through your mind? Do you remember?
I was going to go to jail and be just like my older brother. I've become my older brother. I'm going to be a burden to my parents. I'm going to be an embarrassment to my parents. I did not want that to happen. I did not want to disappoint them. They didn't even know the story till a year later. I told them what happened. They asked me why I wasn't drinking anymore.
Well, and I know you felt the burden of what that was going to look like, but did you feel the mercy or grace that night too, or not? Not yet. Could you realize it?
I knew God did something really special for me, and that.
Well, you're probably still drunk, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I was still drunk.
Yeah, that's what.
I was still drunk. I still woke up with a hangover.
Right.
But I did blow a 0.0 twice, and man, if someone can't realize that God is protecting you and giving you a 2,000th chance, not a second chance.
One piece of equipment for 0.0 I could understand, maybe.
Yeah.
But two faulty pieces of equipment, no.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
I wanted to, as I got older, I was in the soda business with Pepsi and then Coca-Cola, and I really wanted to become a youth pastor. I really wanted to let them know what God had done in my life. And I didn't start till I was 29 years old. And I look back now and I kick myself. I was like, I could have been doing so much more, but it happened the exact same way that God had it all laid out. If I would have got ahead of it, I wouldn't be here right now in front of you telling you what God's done in not my life, thousands of kids' lives and coaches' lives, you know? So I don't know. You want me to fast forward to where that led to starting a first youth ministry?
Yeah. Take us to that first youth ministry.
Yeah, so we started a youth group on a volunteer basis in 1999.
Now, how old were you? 29?
I was 29, yeah.
Okay. You say, who's we?
Stacy, my wife and I both.
Stacy.
And Brendan was 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Our son Brendan was born in 1995. He's going to be 29 this May. I can't believe it.
How'd that happen?
Divine appointment. Yeah.
So you got, okay, I won't get into that. You fast forward to your first youth ministry.
Yeah, and it was tough. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And there were some tough kids in there with tough problems. And I learned really quick, you better be calling on the same God that got your butt out of a DUI as you're going to be a pastor of youth. Because you're going to be held accountable. When I started reading that in 2 Timothy, that I was going to be held accountable at a higher level, even though I was volunteer. I'd never gone to Bible school. You know, I have 2 degrees from FSU, but, you know, I was their pastor. I was youth pastor, Pat. And I went on to another church in Dunedin, and it was about 4 blocks away from Dunedin High School. And I thought, wouldn't it be crazy, God, if you let me go into the school where I was such a nut job and I could be there for a guy named Pat whose mom was dying of cancer, and I could actually be there for him and give him some hope and tell him about your son, Jesus? What would it be like if I went and ministered to a football team that my mom never wanted me to play for because I've been deaf in one ear my whole life? Everybody was like, why aren't you playing football, man? You're an athlete. And my mom was like, I don't want you playing. I don't want you to lose all your hearing. I went deaf in this ear when I was 6. And I had some resentment towards that. She didn't even want me to switch hit because I was a really good left-handed hitter. She didn't want my ear to be facing a pitcher.
Wow.
And I honored that. I just was like, okay, Mom. So, I played baseball and didn't play football. And all these things shape you if you really slow down and write it down. God's been doing things to lay groundwork.
Right.
And,
for sure,
by this time, I lost track of Robbie's mom. I kept in touch with her. I told her I graduated college. I told her that I really was devoting my life to Jesus and that Stacy and I were getting married, and she just thought that was so great. But I just walked into the locker room of Dunedin High School one day, and Coach Mark Everett was there, and he said, "Hey, man," I said, "I'm Pastor Pat, man. I just want to come and serve the kids." He's like, "You want to be my football chaplain?"
What?
And I was just like, heck yes, I do.
Public school?
Yeah. And I was like, are we allowed to? Because, the enemy doesn't want us in the schools.
Absolutely.
And man, the kids just started coming. And I started telling them stories about a jerk that climbed the light pole of their stadium with a buzz and got up there and didn't know how to get down because he was scared because the buzz, stopped.
Yeah. Right.
Or, that I found out I was a shot putter when I tried running track, and the first hurdle I hit, I smashed my face and was bleeding everywhere. I was like, not a hurdler, throw the cannonball. That's what we're going to do. So, man, I loved it. And I started traveling with the team. I was on the sideline with them every week. It was something I could bring Brendan to. He loved it. He was like their ball boy,
Yeah.
And man, I started seeing kids coming to know Jesus through it. They never came to my youth group. That's what I thought. I'll go there and then they'll come here.
Right.
They never came.
Fill the seats.
Yeah. Some of those guys from that team are now coaches, and they're calling me. They're like, Pat, I got to have FCA. I won't coach without having FCA. And I go,
my God.
You were listening to me?
Oh, my gosh.
What about you? You were listening to that? Oh man, I'll never forget when you simulated running over a hurdle and you fell right in the locker room and you said, my dad told me, doesn't matter how hard you fall, you get back up. I said, you're going to have hurdles in your life. The kid recited the entire message to me, and I didn't think anybody was listening to me. I started understanding how powerful Jesus could be on a platform of sports. And then I did the track team, and another coach at Largo.
Oh, while you were still a youth pastor.
Yeah, and a full-time manager at Coca-Cola. Or no, that was I was a salesman.
Okay.
I was full-time working 60 hours a week, and I was doing that in my spare time and being a youth pastor. My wife had a lot of grace.
Yeah. And being a dad.
Yeah, it was getting old. I didn't know it was getting old for her, but God fixed that too. We're not going to go there today, but
Thank you for watching. Keep an eye out for part 2. Please share our videos, subscribe to this channel, it doesn't cost anything, and click the like button. The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 4:6, "For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." In Matthew 5:14, Jesus told his followers, "You are the light of the world." Let's be that light.